Host is
Cindy Krafka.
Hey, we're back. We
We are.
took a week off. I have to say, this past week I spent with my grandkids, and I am tore up.
Do you feel your years?
Oh man, I am old, out of shape. But we knew that. It just exposed it on a different level.
I always tell my kids, oh, I could do it. I could raise them again. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
No.
I
I,
could
I
if I had to, but it would never be my first choice.
I spent today just recovering, just trying to get some feel back into my body. But it was fun. But we move on. It's we're coming up on a summer month, so we have to start getting a little bit more active, don't we? And people are starting. Hopefully, I don't know, we can do some more things outside as the CDC is sort of easing up some of the requirements, and hopefully more people will get vaccinated, and we can. I mean, this whole thought of herd immunity. I don't know what that means. Just
It means enough people have it that it's unlikely that it will be spread. That's what herd immunity.
I just want us to be able to. I'm still going to wear a mask when I go out in large groups, even though I've been vaccinated, and they say I just you just never know what kind of variants are out there or what else is. I'm when I go to the store, I'm going to wear a mask. If I go,
You know what? I wasn't sick once this winter. If it means wearing a mask when I go into a store or something, I'm going to do it.
I know that's not the popular thing to say because people are, oh, I'm tired of masks. It really, it hasn't. I don't think it has been as bad as people are making it out to be. So I'm fine with continuing on until, I don't know, probably till the day I die. I'm just, remember when before 9/11, and things have changed and have never gone back to what we thought was normal. I think it's going to be this about the same thing. So I don't ever expect it to be what we thought or described as normal, but we'll move on.
Communities where I work, everybody's getting vaccinated, and as soon as everybody's vaccinating, they're opening to the public, but it's going to be with a mask requirement. If people come in with a mask, we just turn them around and ask them to leave or put on a mask. So a lot of it's going to be up to what
you're going to take a lot of heat for that. People are just, even now, you just
try me.
It's like there's two sides of the spectrum. Either you're the mask or not. And it's crazy how we turn in that.
Well, if you got to have your Penzi Spices, plan on wearing a mask, or the thing is, everybody has made adjustments to it. We do all online. It's called curbside delivery. They order online. We get the email, we fill it, we put it outside. It's worked perfectly fine. Very few people have complained, but we've all had people we've hung up on. And luckily we're allowed to do that.
And having said that, I think the University of Nebraska Omaha is planning on going back into the classrooms next semester. So I think we're trying to make that next step back to pre-COVID. Although, like I said, there's always going to be some new restrictions in terms of numbers of students, that type of thing. So but I think it's a good thing that we're moving forward to try to get back into the classrooms. And
a lot of colleges are saying that you have to give proof of vaccination before you can come back. I haven't heard anything about UNO doing that.
We'll see what happens. But having gone through the vaccination thing, reading good things coming out of Indian country regarding that. People, especially down in the Navajo area where they were hit really hard.
0 cases is what I heard.
Yeah.
0 new cases.
But I'm going to start off the show talking about Knucklehead of the Week month.
I almost should burn some sage on
myself
so I don't stroke out.
Almost rename it the Rick Santorum Knucklehead of the Week Award.
I agree. But
Rick Santorum was a former senator from Pennsylvania, I believe, and the former candidate for president on a number of occasions, and also now is what they call a contributor to. How come they don't hire us to be contributors to?
Because we're Indians.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to see an Indian.
Yeah, we don't have anything important to say. We're nothing.
We're invisible.
Which is essentially, no, according to Mr. Santorum, we were nothing. And he was making a speech to a group of, I don't even know who they were, but made the point that this country grew out of nothing. So there really wasn't anything before, and the Native American culture is really nothing, and didn't contribute to the to the history or culture of this country. And took a lot of heat, as he should have, but apparently.
But excuse me for interrupting here. And as a progressive, I feel real comfortable talking about this. I've watched CNN and NBC for a lot of years. CNN has not issued an apology. He has not been taken off the air. If it would have been an African American, if he would have said that about the African American culture, do you think CNN would have gone without an apology? Do you think he'd still be on the air? What I want to know is why it's okay to do it to Native Americans, but no other group in this country. Why?
Well, we know we're still marginalized, but hopefully.
Well, I have turned off CNN, and I encourage other people to do the same. We can't have that kind of culture. You either stand against something or you are silently for it. And CNN has not issued an apology. Rick Santorum has not issued an apology. I encourage everyone who's watching to turn off CNN. Get your news from MSNBC. I won't watch a TV channel that promotes racism. And that's exactly what they're doing by not issuing a statement condemning what he did or firing him.
I just have a couple thoughts on that. One, you hear a lot of people saying, well, if you're calling for a boycott or have them get fired, they always talk about the cancel culture. When you think about it, that's what he's done. He's tried to cancel our entire culture. He's negated it to absolutely nothing. So I don't want to hear about, oh, we're trying to cancel him out. No, he's doing that to us, and I don't think whatever happens to him, he deserves. You're right. I don't know if CNN's going to do anything,
but why wouldn't they, Ed? Like I said, if this had been said about an African American, heads would have rolled. Why is it okay to be protective of one culture, but say it's okay to be racist against another culture? It's what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Because
you
apparently
either are affronted at all racism or you're secretly not affronted.
Apparently he brings something to CNN that they want. That's the only answer I can give to you.
Racism? Is that what they want at CNN? Because that pretty much seems to me like what they're getting.
I can't answer that. All I can say is if they haven't cut him loose, that's because he provides something for them that they want. And
it's because we're invisible. It's because people can do and say what they want about Native Americans, and nobody cares except us. We make news, but who listens? We make noise, but who listens? Who came to Standing Rock? Nobody, until the vets came. Then suddenly all the press was there.
The other thought I had about that was that he said, if that is the case, that we contributed nothing, then why in the heck is everybody trying to appropriate our culture? Then just give it up. Stop. If it's nothing, then why do people want to be a part of it and to misappropriate it? But Rick Santorum, knucklehead of the week.
Boycott CNN until they apologize or fire him. And if they have, and I missed it, but I'll tell you, I've been watching pretty closely for a statement from CNN. If they have, I apologize, but I've seen no signs of it. And you'd think that'd be something you'd hear.
What? I really don't care. I don't care what CNN does to him. I don't.
I do. It was my station, one of my stations. Not anymore.
I didn't watch him before that, so I'm not, I don't know. But it's, you know, it's a station of, you know, labeling us something else. So what does that tell you?
Well, the good news is we're standing up and starting to take back some of our rights.
Yeah, maybe they'll hire us as contributors, you think?
How about they put Deb Holland on and let her talk about what she's been doing?
I'm available.
Oh, Ed, I would love to. I'll send your name in. I'm tweeting. After this show is out, everybody who's watching, tweet CNN and tell them Ed Zendejas, native commentator.
Who? Well, have you got, I have one more thing, then I'll turn the time over to you for Auntie Deb. The Idaho legislature passed a bill banning critical race theory being taught or having students accept whatever it is. And the governor signed it today. And I'm thinking that's sort of basically that, you know, the part that they don't like about it is they say that there's systemic racism, and that whatever came from that is still being manifested today. They want to say that, you know, what was in the past is in the past. It doesn't have any bearing on what happens today. There is no such thing as systemic racism. We're beyond it. We're done with it, and we don't want to teach that anymore. And of course, one of the things that I teach in my class is the doctrine of discovery, which is essentially that you know, we were Native people were considered subhuman, and therefore didn't have the rights to own property. The entire foundation of which the federal Indian policy is based off of stems from the notion that we are subhuman, and therefore they can do what they want to with us, and they don't have to. Even the right to vote, citizenship, the 14th Amendment didn't apply. So all of those things, and to say that you can't teach that, or it doesn't have an impact or an effect today, that's crazy. And it's and I wouldn't be able to teach in Idaho.
No.
What concerns me is Nebraska. I'm sure there's probably some goofy state legislators in Nebraska thinking, hey,
yep,
that's something we should do here in Nebraska. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to pass. And if Ricketts is still governor, he'll sign that bad boy.
I know.
So that's my concern.
Well, you know, to kind of piggyback on what you said there, they don't want to say it because they have to say the word genocide. And when President Biden acknowledged the Armenian genocide, I thought, you know, that's good, but it hurt a little bit, because why are we not acknowledging the genocide in our own country? If we taught these kids what really happened, we'd be teaching them that America the Great was built on genocide, and they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. They want to act like America was built on religious freedom, on blah, blah, blah. It was built on genocide.
And that there is no more racism or systemic racism, and we just should move on. Anyway, have you got something positive for us?
If there's no more racism, what about those young men who yelled at you while you were walking the track? A little old man.
That's what people want to think, that it's not out there anymore. But anyway,
Then it's our job to make sure they know what's going on.
I want to give you a chance to last week or last time we were on, we talked about you doing an Auntie Deb segment. What's Auntie Deb up to?
So much going on. So much going on.
So tell us.
I would like to talk about first the Not Invisible Act that she was the lead sponsor on in Congress has passed. It's a joint venture between the Department of the Interior and the Justice Department to address violence in Native America and against Native Americans. And along with that, she set up a special task force for missing and murdered Indigenous women. I mean, that's two pretty big things right off the bat there. Are you going to comment, or do you just want me to keep going?
No, you're going to be our Auntie Deb correspondent.
Well, also, I say she, but it's not just Deb. She has an entire backup system working with her to make these changes. They rolled back the restrictions that Trump had set. They are working towards tribal determination and rebuilding and consolidating and putting a lot of this land back into trust, which I also think is a great thing. I know that people may not agree, but I think she's doing great things there. I was reading also about
You,
her
you want me
tribe.
to do you want me to comment on that part?
Yes, I do.
Land trust?
I would love for you to.
Well,
Unless I don't agree with you, then keep it to yourself.
I don't know, maybe you agree. I just what they're trying to do. And this is in response to the Carcieri case, where the Supreme Court held that that tribes that weren't federally recognized at the time of the Indian Reorganization Act could not put land into trust anymore. And there were Congress hasn't, it could be a very easy fix to change some of the wording in the Indian Reorganization Act to allow for all tribes to put land in the trust without going through what was a 4-step process. And it took years to get land into trust. And I have to qualify that this is for land that is for non-gaming purposes.
Yep.
So if it's for a casino or whatever, then there's still the lengthy process. But it shortened the bureaucratic process to a 2-step process. So hopefully, and as I was reading, it could be decided on the regional basis as opposed to having to be sent up to Washington, D.C. for every type of approval. So, you know, and I'm sure it's probably going to get challenged in the courts. I'm sure state and local governments. So we'll see, but it's a good attempt. But actually what would make this a better fix is if Congress were to change some of just a couple of tweaks into the Indian Reorganization Act. But it's at least a good effort to let tribes know that you're working to make it easier to do things and to get things done, business done on the reservations.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
She was in Utah talking to the tribes, and the Utah legislature basically said, we'll do legislation to protect the sacred site ourselves. And she said, well, then do it. Am I right in my characterization of that story?
I haven't heard that story, but if that's your character, we'll go with it, Kenny. We'll trust Cindy for today.
Kenny, write this day down. Ed trusted me. First day, and Ed, how many years since have I known you? 17, 16? And I'm still waiting to learn something from you.
Well, I'm still recovering from my grandson, so I'm just like, oh.
Well, you know, I think also I liked her tribal youth program, $927,000 to work with the youth on the Gulf Coast, working on environmental issues, teaching them a little bit about their culture, and also do you remember how much that act put into Native American education?
No, I don't.
It's a huge number, and now I can't remember it. And that's one of the things, believe it or not, I didn't write down.
See, that's part of your responsibility as being a correspondent, is to come up with some of those.
I can't remember numbers, which is why we are so good together. Because you
just say a bunch of money.
Well, and they broke down how it's going to be doled out. It'll be interesting to see what the tribes do with this extra money in education. Will it go to infrastructure? Will it go to hiring more teachers? Will it go to more culturally appropriate classes? What do you think it's going to go towards? Or will that be determined by each tribe? When the federal government gives you money, do you have the autonomy to do with what you want, or are you under federal regulations?
Oh, there's always strings attached with federal dollars. Always.
Always?
Always.
Well, you know that, but it's good to see her standing up. I liked in the press conference, it seems like people want to give her more credit than what she's actually able to do. I read the transcript and a lot of it came back to, I will make my recommendation to President Biden and he is the one who decides it. I like hearing that. She's making it a cooperative effort, not just here's what I'm doing. She's not acting unilaterally and she's saying, I have my limits. When they were talking about the leases, she said, you know, that is still in effect until the president says it's no longer in effect. I just like her. I feel like when we're talking to her, we're getting the straight story. I feel like she has no hidden agenda. I feel like she's just going to be the one person in the government who's actually working for Native Americans. And I really want to get her on the show.
That's why we gave Cindy this segment. So she can be the.
If there's any way, Deb Holland, or any of her people are listening on Spotify, TV, Facebook, please, Deb Holland, please tell her we would love to have, I will fangirl. I might just sit there and giggle through the whole thing.
Maybe one of these days, if they invite us to be a correspondent for CNN, we'll invite her on.
Well, I tweeted CNN and Chris Cuomo and said, well, bye, enough is enough.
Kenny, send this tape in as our audition for the native for CNN.
Have I read that it's $850 million they are doing the education?
Yeah, do you have the breakdown there, Kenny?
Yeah, 535 million to go to the K through 12. 229 million will go to TCU based on student count. And 85 million will be managed by BIE school operations for investments.
I guess our question should be, who's in charge of the Bureau of Education in the BIA?
You're supposed to have that information.
I'm just one woman, Ed, and I'm in a boot. Most of my day is just trying to get from point A to point B.
Well, we'll cut you some slack since this is your first segment of being anti-Deb correspondent.
We love her. Deb, please come on our show.
You got to come up with the flashy, title for this segment.
Where's Auntie Deb? Oh no, we still have Where's Uncle Gary? Have you seen or talked to Brother Gary recently?
No, see, that's our other segment is Where's Gary Farmer?
I've seen him.
That was your responsibility as well.
Hey, it looks like he's busy doing things, going places. Have you watched the Rutherford Falls?
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either. You know why? Because we can't ever find anything with all these streaming services. I still have to finish this season of Resident Alien.
Plus that he's not, Brother Gary's not in it.
But Michael Gray Eyes, one of our guests, was. The other day I was thinking about the people we have had at our film festivals, at just a little school film festivals, and literally we've had the biggest names in Indian country. Chris Eyre, Irene Bedard. I was thinking about that the other day. We know
you left out Graham Greene.
He was the loveliest man. Do you remember the grandmothers brought fry bread and soup the film festival to feed him, and he was thrilled to death to eat it. Everybody with that came was just so nice. Ernie Webb, we've had a lot of really amazing people at our film festivals.
Charlotte.
We know people, Ed.
No, we know Gary. Everybody else, they forgot us by now.
Nah. I feel like I could walk up to Graham Greene and say, hey, Omaha, Nebraska, UNO, you were there. And he'll act like he knows who I am. Still West Studi. Never got West.
That's because Graham was so nice. Oh, yeah, I remember. He wouldn't remember us.
Do he is the only star, including Brother Gary, that came to a film festival that stayed from beginning to end of the movies every day, whether it was his movie or not. Him and his wife were in the audience all day long, and he stayed until the last person wanted his autograph. You got to admire somebody who'll do that instead of somebody who will say, if you must. We won't mention any names.
No, yeah, we've had a good run, and maybe one
You
of
were in charge of the talent.
maybe one of these days we'll make another stab at bringing the film festival back.
You know, we really should. It was great. It was great. And it was great fun. And you know, once you learn how to do it, it's not that much work. Do you remember our first one? Neither of us knew what we were doing. I would sit and look at you and just want to cry and say, "What? We'll be fine. It'll be fine."
Oh,
I had a few nervous
Chaske
breakdowns.
Spencer was our first one.
I have a picture hanging of him and
the
me.
Thompson brothers.
Where are the Thompson brothers?
They're
We
playing
need to get
lacrosse.
them on the show. Why don't you get one of them on the show?
They're busy.
You know, the only one we ever invited, I'll remember, Ivan Rock, didn't get on the plane because he was drunk. He was our one and only guest that didn't show up.
Well,
I would have liked Wes, I would still like Wes Studi, and I would like, oh, I'm having a senior moment. She's an older native actress, Tantu Cardinal.
Cantu Cardinal. We had a commitment from Wes Studi, but then he went off and got a picture to film. So
He was in Australia.
yeah. Then we had a commitment from Tantu Cardinal, but then she got selected to do that one TV show.
Yep.
What was the name of that? I forget.
Oh gosh, you know what? And Irene Bedard. I was watching The Stand, the Stephen King miniseries. She was one of the main characters in The Stand. I was really pleased to see that. And she could have been any culture, any race at all. That's what I like to see. She just was an Indian playing a part, not playing the part of an Indian, just playing a part. And she was really a major character in the show. Kenny, when are we going to have a native Marvel character?
I think what's his name did that.
Who?
Was name is slipping me because he turned it down. No, he was at UNO. Adam Beach.
Oh, there is one?
I think
In the Marvel universe, in the comic books, is there a comic book with a Native American superhero, Kenny?
I don't know.
Kenny?
I don't know.
How can you not know? You two know everything. How can you not know? Jason Momoa, Aquaman, at least we got a little something in there.
No, I would like to contact Gary and see if I can write an episode for second season for Resident Alien.
You have that kind of humor, you could.
No, because I want to incorporate I used to call it my Independence Day theory about how tribes can get their land back. Now, if we can go and call it the Resident Alien theory, you can ask Dr. Vanderspiegel, instead of blowing up the entire earth, everything else but Indian country, just let us have our land back and he can blow up everything else.
Okay, then I think he should let you write that one.
I could come up with.
I'll tell you what, I'll control what's going on with Deb Holland, and you figure out where and when and what's going on with Gary.
I don't know. That's a pretty hard task.
I think you can do it.
We'll see. We're about out of time, right, Kenny?
Yeah, we're getting there.
And hopefully next week maybe we'll have a guest.
Pretty soon, you know what? Pretty soon we got to have an in-person show. I'm ready. Nobody can see my eyes. For the last 9 months, all anybody has ever seen of me is a glare off my glasses.
Trust me, they're bloodshot. You don't want to see it anyway. Kenny, why don't you, Kenny needs
when you're far, far away.
Yeah, and they can't smell that alcohol in your breath either.
Kenny, we need to do an in-person show. Find us a place. I'm ready.
I like this. I'm away from you.
Thinking maybe in June.
Oh, maybe in June.
Right.
So by then I'll have my vaccines and we should be good to go.
You'll be good to go. All right. Well, Kenny, I'm done.
Goodbye, Lucas. Grandma loves you. I don't even know if he watches, but I say it anyway. And go sit down in your comfortable chair and put your feet up.
Yep. I'm done. Grandson wore me out.
We will see you all next week.
See you next week.